Hey guys, Freddy here, and welcome back to a Retro Adventures. And going by my release schedule, this one will be coming out on Christmas Day. So if you're watching this on Christmas Day, Merry Christmas to you. Everybody else, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. I hope Santa was very good to you all. Now, as part of Christmas and New Year, I've decided to put up 12 videos in a row. And today, as a special on Christmas Day, I've decided to treat myself. Now, when I reached 1,000 subscribers, I bought the Price of Freedom role-playing game. It's over my shoulder here, nice big red box. As I'd wanted it since it came out in the 1980s, and I was not sad that I did. Absolutely brilliant role-playing game, loads of fun, very much tongue-in-cheek. And ever since then, I've been trying to put in the Games Masters Pack and the only adventure for it, Your Own Private Idaho, into polls, and they have never won. But I always wanted to look through them because I love the role-playing game. So as a treat to myself this Christmas, we're looking through Your Own Private Idaho. So let's go over to the desktop and have a wee look. So this is Your Own Private Idaho, which is for the Price of Freedom role-playing game. Came out from West End Games in 1987. Now the Price of Freedom role-playing game itself was often referred to as the Red Dawn role-playing game because the setup of it is very much like the 1984 movie Red Dawn, where the Soviet Union conquers America. And the main characters of the movie are people who are resisting behind enemy lines. Now, the setup of the Price of Freedom role-playing game itself is fairly similar to that. It's set in an alternate future version where the Soviet Union basically comes up with the Star Wars space weapons program first. And they have satellites which can shoot American missiles out of the sky, meaning that there is only one effective nuclear power left in the world. So the Premier of the Soviet Union puts a threat to the American president, and to save lives, he surrenders America. Being seen very much as a weak person, but he's saving the entire country because only one side can use nuclear weapons now, so America could just be wiped out. The players in The Price of Freedom are ordinary citizens who are behind enemy lines. A large chunk of America has been taken over. Soviet soldiers are patrolling the streets, and they have to fight to cause such chaos that the Soviets will eventually give up and withdraw. There is obviously not much out for the game. There was the main game itself, there was a Games Masters Pack, and there was this adventure. And this adventure is Red Dawn turned up to 11. It totally takes the format of the movie and goes for it, laying that out into the very early stages of a campaign, up until the players are being quite successful. Whereas the role-playing game itself has a variety of different things you can lay out in it. Players can be operating as normal citizens and hiding their actions behind. No, this takes it so you're living in the wilderness, you're fighting the Soviets, you are striking out against them to cause problems. And it includes rules for helicopters. So, inside, the artwork's fairly nice. I like the sense of humour in Price of Freedom a lot. It was written very much with its tongue in its cheek. The role-playing game itself was by Greg Costican, who is a co-writer on this, although most of the adventures by Steve Gilbert. We've got an introduction laying out what's in it, the background. It's set in an area of America right up in the mountains where there is nothing important. So while it's behind enemy lines, the Soviets haven't bothered with it. They haven't even really turned up. So life has been continuing. The shortages of fuel, or the shortages of food, because supplies aren't arriving the way they used to. But the changes to everyday life haven't. You still go collect your mail, you're still meeting up with your friends, there's no soldiers on the streets. Until an event happens. So we've got an adventure summary, advice on how to use the adventure within your own campaign, how to relocate it. And then we're on to Chapter 1, The Boys in Red arrive. So, things have been living very normal in the area of Milner, until some resistance turn up. And they gather up some of the young men from the area, and they head off. They're there for a couple of days. And a few days later, one of the players is going down to the town to get their mail, and they see there's a convoy of 3 Soviet tanks and 3 armoured personnel carriers, big dangerous machines that move faster than such heavy-looking vehicles should. The Soviets have seen that the resistance have been there. I don't know whether they've found any of the townspeople who have now been working with the resistance, but they've been drawn attention that this area now is to be secured. So the Soviets roll in and they start searching it. There's options for the players to grab some stuff and sneak off. But if they don't, we've got details about various people within the town and the various pre-generated characters. What happens if the Soviets come out to your house and interrogate you? And then they've got 5 PM, the Soviets gather the citizens of Milner in the town park. It's a cold, snowy day, they gather everybody up, and they declare martial law over the town. They've searched things, and they've found that one 18-year-old girl has anti-Russian or anti-Soviet propaganda. So they're going to put her to death. And amongst the other things, they've found evidence on any of the players who haven't sneaked off. They call out that they are to go, everybody else is dismissed. And the players have the choice of escaping. They get taken into the gymnasium, there's options of escaping, and they go out to a cave. In the cave, there's various things set up for the resistance. Then we've got a section on moving around Challis. So this county, what's going to change under the Soviet rule? You know, how do they get weapons and equipment? Various maps, what roads, how they're fortified, whether you're going to use horses, walk or riding in the woods, moving along rivers, the atmosphere. And then we've got various things which the players can do. So as they move around, there's Soviet patrols, there's Old Man Haraway moving, just different encounters. Then there's talk about helicopters. So we're talking about how helicopters are fortifying this mountainous area. And we go through using helicopters in Price of Freedom. I almost called it Red Dawn there. And how they work, because they're not covered in the main rules. Crew and passengers as targets, what the armour ratings are. We're getting towards the centre of the booklet here, so we've got the pre-generated characters. One of my favourite things about Price of Freedom characters is they have personal heroes. So Nathaniel Washington here, Jeremiah Washington, Lee Iacocca, Malcolm X. Diana Kohini, Russell Means, Thunder Rolling Over the Mountain, and Sitting Bull. Personal heroes for Terence T.J. Callahan, Teddy Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, and Alvin Davis. We've got their skills on the back, character backgrounds, adventures backgrounds. We've got a map of the Challis Bora Peak area. Information about what typical patrols are made up of. Charts and tables for the helicopters. Lots of information about them, anti-aircraft weapons, fire modifiers against helicopters, anti-aircraft vehicle charts, a diagram of the Mackay Dam Control Tower, the area around the dam, as will become important later, the Chile Air Base, where the helicopters are based, and then as we're coming out of the other side of the centre of the booklet, we've got the other 3 of the pre-generated characters. And one of the things I absolutely love is Horatio Spaulding here. One of his personal heroes is Arthur Scargill, who was a union leader for the miners' union in the UK in the 80s. A very divisive figure. But I'm totally surprised. I also love the fact that Kim Shaw here, personal heroes, Krista McAuliffe and Sally Field. So we've got somebody who has non-military, non-political heroes. I like that a lot. Henry Doc Jorgensen here has the Beach Boys as his heroes. Also very cool. So we've got helicopter weapons, anti-aircraft weapons. As the winter comes in, so the first snowstorm and the effects of that. And then we've got Chile Air Base. So we've had various encounters, But the player's main threat is they're being hunted by these helicopters, so they'll need to take out the airbase. So we've got various information about it, men and machines, the routine, what will the players do. Skeet shooting with ZSU. Moonlit sabotage. Devil take the hindmost, because of course the Hind is a type of Soviet helicopter. And getting away. So they will sabotage the helicopters, which will weaken the Russians a lot. And then we're on to the final section about the Mackay Dam. Now, this dam obviously holds back a lot of water, and the Soviet vehicles are in the splash zone of it. If the players sabotage the dam, they'll be taking out the remainder of the Russian armour. So we've got information about the dam, the guards, getting to the tower, the control tower, fight, destroying the dam, talking about what happens, dramatic conclusion, and aftermath. So they've destroyed the dam, they've taken out the Soviet armour. While they are still in occupied zone, they've taken out all the air force, they've taken out the armour. Are the Soviets going to send more forces to reinforce a basically useless area? Are they going to go in and exterminate everybody? Are they now overwhelmed and they will forget that this area exists, just seeing it as too much trouble and focusing back down into more important areas, which will shrink the area of Soviet influence, leading to the eventual overthrow of this control? There's so many options here. And then we've got the back cover. 6 men and women against 12,000. 300 rebels, grandly named the First Idaho Brigade, operate from Idaho's Challis National Forest. Pacific Occupational Front Command has vowed to destroy them, and dispatched an entire motor rifle division to the task. The rebels are faced with certain defeat. Only you and your friends can save them. 6 men and women against a division. Overhead fly helicopters, their cannon and rocket ready to destroy. Through the woods roam disciplined Soviet patrols, alert for rebel movements. Between you and your goal are raging rivers, mighty mountains, and the first snows of winter. The enemy, the elements, and the terrain conspire against you. You cannot be deterred, for the First Idaho shall not die. Your own private Idaho includes a 4-page pull-out printed with all of the rules you can need to use for helicopters, anti-aircraft weapons, AH-1 Cobra, UH-1 Huey, AH-64 Apache, Mi-24 Hind, Mi-28 Havoc helicopters, as well as many others are detailed. So the ZSU-23-4 anti-aircraft guns, SA-4s through SA-14s, Chaparral and Stinger surface-to-air missiles, 2-page cardstock printer with all the charts and tables you need when using helicopter anti-aircraft weapons is also provided. So it's an interesting and fun adventure. I like the way it fleshes out, and it lays out the first part of a campaign. I imagine they intended to go back and flesh things out further with how the war would go on. But, as I said, there were only the 3 published things for it: the rules, the Games Master's Pack, and this adventure, before the game flopped because at the time in history it was Gorbachev, Perestroika, Glasnost and all that, so the Russians and the Soviets weren't the big enemy. There was no chance of this really happening, so people weren't interested in the game and it didn't sell particularly well. Which is a really sad thing because I've covered the rules before, it's quite a fun system, and as I said, it's an alternate history game really. So there's no reason why real history should have affected that. So that was Your Own Private Idaho for the Price of Freedom role-playing game, and it's a fantastic adventure. It's very much like the Red Dawn movie. It builds it up into short episodic bits as the players become freedom fighters, then with a couple of large events where they will have a massive effect on the Russian invasion of America. Fantastic stuff. The thing I never mentioned while I was looking through the book there is the Price of Freedom role-playing game itself is part role-playing game and part war game. It scales very, very easily, so you can use large group tactics while you fight. It came with maps and lots of little counters, so you can fight with moderately large forces, fairly decent-sized skirmishes. And this adventure does not deal with that at all. While there are a bunch of Russians, it is very much based more about traditional role-playing. And I'm kind of surprised by that, but I'm not disappointed. I do think that moving away to controlling lots and lots of tokens does break the immersion of playing your character, so I'm very glad that they did. But anyway, I think I've been waffling on for quite long enough as usual, so thank you very much for watching, and as always, most of all, you look after yourselves, and I'll catch you later. Bye now.